You got your first investment property and you're so excited about it. You know about all the potential money and passive income that you can make with this. You fix your apartments up real nice and you don't cut any corners either. No landlord specials here. You can almost taste that passive monthly income. But first things first, you gotta find a tenant. A friend of yours knows you have an apartment to rent out, so they recommend somebody they know who's looking to move. You speak with them and they agree to rent your place out and they pay you the first month's rent. Everything's looking good so far. When the rent is due on the second month, you get a call from the tenant saying that they're going to be a little bit late on the rent, but they're going to get it to you probably a few days after the due date. You're a nice guy and you know sometimes things happen, so you tell them that's okay. And a few days later, they pay you your rent. When that third month comes around, you don't get a call. You get a text from your tenant. The text says that they're going to be late with the rent this month and they're not really sure when, but it'll be soon. That's not exactly a specific date, so you patiently wait, and before you know it, a month has passed by. The next month, you don't even get a call. All you hear are crickets. You reach out to them, and when you finally get in touch with you, they hand you this amazing story, and long story short, they're not going to be able to pay the rent. At this point, you realize that you're probably going to have to evict these tenants and they're most likely never going to pay you your rent. By the time you realize it though, it's way too late and you're months behind on your mortgage payments, and on top of that, you now have to go through a lengthy eviction process to get those tenants out. This is a horror story that a lot of landlords go through. However, it doesn't have to be this way. There are ways and steps that you can take to actually avoid and screen out those bad tenants before they sign a lease and they get their claws on your property. Stick with me and I'll show you 3 steps you can take to avoid bad tenants like this. And also make sure you hit that like and that subscribe button so you can be notified when I come out with more real estate and investing tips in the future. Once a bad tenant gets into your property, it can be pretty hard to get them out. It'll cost you thousands of dollars in missed rent payments, and you'll also have to pay eviction fees to get them out. Meanwhile, you're stuck holding the bag paying the mortgage for that property. If you take these steps and these precautions before they sign a lease, it'll not only help you to screen out and avoid bad tenants from getting into your property, it'll help you maintain and to keep good tenants in there, which will keep your monthly cash flow going. This first step is a step that a lot of landlords, especially first-time landlords, tend to skip, and it gets them into a lot of trouble, and that is to avoid renting to friends or family. Now, I know it may seem like a good idea at first because you have a personal relationship with them, so of course they're going to honor the deal, they're going to honor the lease, and they'll pay you your money, right? The truth is that when things go bad, especially for your friends and family, the first person they're not going to pay if they can't afford it is you. Listen to me carefully. When things go bad for them, and it does for all of us at one point or another, they're eventually going to have to make a decision about who they can pay and who they can't pay because maybe their money won't stretch enough to pay all of the bills that they have for the month. When that happens, who do you think they're going to avoid paying? Their car note, where the person will repossess their car or the company will repossess their car, or their phone bill or their electric bill, which then they risk getting it cut off, or you, your friend or the family member who should understand that they're going through hard times, so that should be the person who will give you a break. They too also understand that they have a personal relationship with you, so when it comes down to it, you're less likely to kick them out or to punish them in any way. Just in this case, do not mix business with family or friends. Trust me, it's not worth it and it'll be a huge headache to you and you might end up ruining your relationship with that friend or family member. And you do not want to have to end up taking a friend or family member to court. The second step you should do is to always do a background and a credit check on any prospective tenant who wants to live in one of your buildings. This may seem like it should be obvious, but there are actually a lot of landlords that skip this step and they feel like it's going to be too much work, or maybe they don't want to hold any sensitive information on everybody. They don't want to be responsible for it. So some people just skip that step. That is a bad idea. When you're meeting with someone who is interested in your home, they can put on a great show to make it seem like they're a really good person and that they're really interested in your property and that they're really responsible, but you never really know for sure unless you do that background and that credit check. I once met a prospective tenant who seemed very nice, had a stable job, everything seemed like it was going good until I ran that background check. Then I found out she was actually evicted by her mother. Now, if she's not going to pay her mother, you think she's going to pay me? It's actually pretty easy to run a background and a credit check on tenants nowadays. Me personally, I use a website called smartmove.com, which is ran by TransUnion. What I do is I'll send the prospective tenant a link from that website, which they'll then go on, pay the background fee. Then SmartMove will send me all the background and the credit info. That way, I don't need to deal with holding anybody's social security numbers or holding their sensitive information or anything like that. They just give me the background check and it's free for me. Eventually, you're going to run across a tenant who's not going to want to do that background check, or they're not going to want to pay the fee, or they're going to have some sort of story to where they're not going to want to do that. If you do, then that's a red flag. Avoid that tenant. Trust me, they're trying to avoid that background check for a reason. They know there's something on there. Bottom line, if they don't do that background and that credit check, they can't rent at your apartment. If you do that, then you'll screen out and avoid a lot of bad tenants. And while I'm at it, here's another red flag to look for when you're interviewing prospective tenants. If they start asking for a lot of repairs and a lot of improvements or a lot of changes before they even move into the apartment, don't rent to them. If they're asking for a lot of stuff now already before they move into the apartment, imagine how they're going to be once they actually move into the apartment. They're just going to be a big headache for you as long as you're staying there. If they're not happy with the place before they move in, they're never going to be happy. And if they aren't happy, they're going to make your life hell. The third step you need to take to make sure you avoid bad tenants is to make sure your property is in good condition. By good condition, I mean not only the inside of the property, but the landscaping in the outside of the property as well. Keeping your property in good shape lets prospective tenants know that you don't play around and you really care about the property. Doing so will not only attract more good tenants into your property, but it'll help keep them there. When tenants see that you take care of your property, they tend to follow suit and they'll take care of your property as well, and they won't complain at all. You'll just get your monthly income on time. If they see that you're not taking care of the property, or they've told you about a lot of repairs that need to be made and you're not doing them in the timely manner, eventually they're going to get disgruntled and eventually they're going to get angry. And once they're angry, they might stop paying rent. In their minds, if you don't care about your property, why should they? The last thing you want to do is to get a good tenant into your property and turn them into a bad tenant in your property because you aren't making your repairs as soon as they tell you about them. So always make sure, once again, to keep your property in good shape, take care of any repairs that your tenant tells you about, and just work with them and let them know that you care about the property and you care about how they feel in the property. If you do that, you'll find out that your tenants will be good to you, and once again, you'll get your money on time. Even if it feels like it's something small or tedious to you, remember that it's important to that tenant. So if you take care of the building will take care of you. Alright guys, those were some steps that you can take to avoid those bad tenants from getting into your property and just completely ruining your cash flow. Any questions or comments for me, please feel free to reach out either through the comment section below or through my website, which is BaileyAcresProperties.com. My name is Rob Bailey, realtor here in the Chicagoland area and real estate investor with Arnie Realty Inc. Thanks a lot, guys. Have a good day.